Koichi that she had no idea it had this many calories. This causes her to aimlessly yap about random stuff, only to later figure that her drink not only has high calories, but is also loaded with sugar. Now, she doesn't have the courage to finish it, but doesn't want to waste it as well. Eventually, she decides to give her drink to Koichi, which comes as a surprise to him. She insists that she's already full, but all Koichi can think about is the indirect kiss. Realizing that he might hurt her feelings if he hesitates for too long and ultimately accepts her offer. Just when he is about to go for a sip, Narumi turns her head to the side and whispers about it being an indirect kiss. Luckily, Koichi doesn't hear what she just said and starts to wonder if she still wants that drink. In the end, he suggests splitting the drink in half, and Narumi agrees to only have one sip. After that, she hits him with the hair behind her ear, embarrassing the poor virgin. Even though he agreed that the drink was tasty, in reality, Koichi was too nervous to even taste it. A few days later, Koichi has gathered all the corn magazines, girlfriend simulation games, and anime waifu models as the week-long break is starting tomorrow. He plans to first watch all the anime he has recorded along with the manga. Then, he'll play the living hell out of his games, and lastly will take care of his dolls. While he is confused about what he should do first, Koichi receives a message on his phone. On the group chat, Narumi asks if they want to go shopping tomorrow as she wants to check out some spring and summer clothes. Ruriko also receives the message and figures that it's another invitation out of the blue. She replies that she wouldn't mind finding something a bit more mature and asks Koichi if he wants to go as well. However, the Brokey is well aware that it will cost a lot and decides to refuse, but gets asked by Ruriko if he even has normal clothes to hide his otaku side. When Koichi agrees that he does, Narumi asks Koichi to show them what his normal wear looks like. Annoyed, Koichi gets out of his bed and opens his closet, ultimately wearing an all-black fit to impress those baddies. But they couldn't have been more disappointed and talked about how his dress is still fully otaku level. In the end, Narumi replies that people should wear whatever makes them happy, but also adds that he should wear those if he doesn't want to look like an otaku. Eventually, they force him to come along and ask him to let his sister choose his clothes. The next day, Koichi is present at the shopping mall, remembering how he got roasted by his little sister who told him to just wear his school uniform. While he's depressed about how it looks like he's going to school, the two of them appear. Koichi gets shocked seeing their outfits and thinks that the difference between him and them is unbelievable. To start things off, Narumi decides to find Koichi's clothes first and Koichi lets her know that his budget is around 10,000 yen. He also adds that he sold one of his plastic models to gather the money, and when Narumi mentions that he didn't have to do that, Koichi replies that after he's bored with a model, he sells it to buy the next one. Ruriko also comments that 10,000 should be enough if he doesn't buy anything pretentious. Following that, Narumi begins to brainstorm and suggests going to the store named Uniqlo. Koichi instantly remembers that it's quite a famous place and starts shopping, but whatever he picks gets rejected by the girls. Eventually, Narumi notices something and tells Koichi that the outfit on the mannequin might look good on him. However, Ruriko disagrees, saying that it might make him look like a super nerd. Then, the two of them begin discussing how getting him some brighter clothes might work, and that they should buy something he could wear all year round. In the end, they decide something they both can agree on, and even Koichi seems to like how it has muted colors. Following that, they both advise him to buy the outfit, and he agrees, saying that he will wear it for the rest of the year. With that being said, Narumi mentions that it's their time to find some clothes and eventually find a shop where there are some exciting outfits. To his surprise, Ruriko says that he should try picking their clothes as well, to which Narumi agrees as well. However, what she really wants is to mock him for the ridiculous outfits he'd pick. With that being said, Koichi completely locks in and enters the shop. He then picks up the heels sitting in front of him along with some clothes and eventually appears in front of the girls with his choice. To start things off, he shows Ruriko an outfit that shows a bit more skin, and she ends up agreeing with his choice, surprised to see that he can actually give some decent advice. But after seeing the holes in that dress, Ruriko begins freaking out, but gets told by Narumi that it would look good. As for Narumi, Koichi tells her that she shows a lot of skin, so something more subdued would be better. After picking some more clothes, he tells them to try them on. While changing their clothes, all Narumi can think of is if Koichi likes simple style and Ruriko thinks how embarrassing it is to change so close to a boy. Soon after, the girls are finished changing, and the first one to come out is Narumi, who gets complimented by Koichi for looking like a noble woman. After that, Ruriko comes out and Koichi also compliments her for looking like an adult with the face of a toddler. Apparently, both the girls seem to like his fashion sense as well and quickly realize that he's better at female fashion as compared to male fashion. Apparently, this weeb always chooses female characters in games and the quality of outfits in games, and for dolls has increased, because of which Koichi has become an expert in women's fashion. Following that, Koichi goes off to browse a little more, leaving the girls feeling anxious about his freaky hobbies. Following that, Ruriko checks the time and notices that it's already 3 o'clock. This makes her ask the others about what they should do, and Narumi replies that they can't just wander around with all these bags. Ruriko suggests finding a place to sit down when suddenly, Narumi gets an idea and mentions that they should go to karaoke. Ruriko ends up agreeing, but to her surprise, Koichi instantly agrees as well. This comes as a surprise to her, and she gives Koichi a confused stare, saying that she was sure a dweeb like him would only know anime songs. But Koichi replies that it's common for anime songs to pop up, and he would choose songs that they might know as well. Later at the karaoke, Koichi surprises both the girls with his beautiful voice, making them realize that he really is a great singer. Apparently, he also gets almost a perfect score for his singing skills. Narumi then notices that he queued up a duet while he thinks about how his sister always cringes when he sings at home, which is why he can sing as much as he likes here. Just as he prepares to sing, Ruriko offers to sing with him, which ends up shocking him. Ruriko questions if he doesn't like the idea, and ultimately, the two of them begin singing together. While they sing, Narumi enjoys and compliments them for being so good. After giving their all, they both are in need of drinks, and Narumi decides to go and buy some for them. After she leaves, the system gives them a perfect score for their singing skills, causing both of them to freak out as it's the first time they have seen a perfect score. Ruriko then suggests taking a picture before it disappears, and after they are done, Ruriko gives him a bombastic side eye. Additionally, she reminds him that they got a high score, saying that it's kind of special, and leans her head towards him. Koichi instantly realizes that she is telling him to pat her head, reminding him of the stray cat that took a liking to him. Having no other choice, Koichi begins patting her head, and she reminds him never to do this in front of Narumi. As he continues to pat her head, Koichi begins to think how long does he have to pat, when suddenly, the door of their room opens, followed by the appearance of Narumi. She wonders why they are making such strange faces, and luckily, Ruriko distracts her by showing her the perfect score. She mentions how she has never seen a perfect score before and questions why Ruriko's face is beet red. When she asks if everything is okay, Ruriko makes an excuse and heads to the bathroom, leaving the two of them behind. Koichi thanks her for grabbing him a drink and asks if she wishes to do a duet with him as well. But to his surprise, Narumi asks if he was petting Ruriko's head earlier. Hearing this makes Koichi lose his cool as he figures that Narumi saw them through the glass. Following that, he tells Narumi that he'd pet her too if she asked, and wonders where this conversation is headed. Shockingly, she asks him to pet her as well and begins getting close to him. Meanwhile, Koichi thinks about how hard it is to pet her and wonders how he should do it. Additionally, if Ruriko ends up seeing them, she's going to flip out as her secret will be exposed. Nonetheless, he decides to pet her, and this time, goes for the backside of her head instead of the top. As he starts petting her, Narumi begins to enjoy it as well and eventually reminds him that he calls Ruriko by her first name, saying that he should call her by her first name as well. Koichi agrees and ends up calling Narumi by her first name, which makes her crack up. When Koichi questions the reason, she is laughing. Narumi replies that he was so nervous that she couldn't help but laugh. After they are done, Narumi decides to ignore the fact that he was petting Ruriko and tells Koichi that she wants to do a duet with him as well. Simultaneously, Narumi thinks that she's so happy because it's the first time a guy patted her head, not realizing that she's so happy because that guy was Koichi. Golden Week is still going on, and Koichi along with the others are enjoying every second of their holidays at the pool. Narumi praises Ruriko for being the GOAT as she managed to secure 3 free entry tickets to the pool. Additionally, she tells Ruriko that she is grateful to her mom and dad for giving them the tickets. Ruriko replies that she is just glad Narumi came as she thought Narumi would still be crying over her unfinished homework. This confuses Narumi, who questions if they have homework to begin with. Following that, she mentions that Koichi is taking too long to change, and Ruriko suggests moving closer to the changing rooms when suddenly, 2 zesty-looking playboys appear out of nowhere, calling them sisters. She mentions that they are all by their lonesome and got some time to kill, but Narumi replies that they are not sisters but classmates. This confuses the boys, and they start to wonder if they are middle schoolers due to Ruriko's height or high schoolers, and she's just an oddball. Narumi adds that they are actually meeting up with someone, causing the boys to think that it must be another girl, asking them to invite her as well. Luckily, Koichi calls out their names just then, reassuring the girls that they are saved. However, seeing his bare body sends them in a state of shock. They can't believe those belly bricks he's rocking, as the girls always expected Koichi to have a dad bod. Surprisingly, those guys also freak out after seeing his muscles and run away as fast as they could. When Koichi asks about the boys, Ruriko says that they were just some playboys, nothing to really worry about. Furthermore, she shifts the conversation to his muscles and Koichi replies that a little while ago, he got into a weightlifting anime and started lifting at home, drinking all the collab protein shakes and everything. Meanwhile, Narumi keeps staring at his body and asks if it's okay for her to touch his muscles. After he agrees, she begins touching his chest and starts to enjoy how it seems to move. Afterward, Koichi asks Ruriko to try hanging on his arm, and after she gets into the perfect position, Koichi manages to lift her up. Everyone along with Ruriko is surprised, and she even asks him to spin around. Seeing them makes the kids ask their dads to do the same, but their dads, who are built like a 2-liter soda bottle, end up making random excuses. Narumi also seems excited and asks Koichi to do it with her as well, only to find out that she is a bit too tall. Sadly, he refuses to do it with her and walks away with Ruriko in his arms, pissing Narumi off for showing Ruriko favoritism. As she continues getting frustrated, she eventually tells Koichi to lean down a little, and without thinking much, he ends up doing what she asked. Just then, Narumi hops on his back, pressing her water balloons against his back and asking Koichi to carry her as well. When Koichi tries to remind Narumi that he can feel every detail of her melon, but after seeing her face, he figures that she knows exactly what she's doing. Ultimately, he agrees to do what she wants and ends up grabbing Ruriko as well. As he carries both of them to the other side of the pool, the same kids are left in awe and start asking their dads to do the same. Sometime later, they start swimming in the water and quickly realize that they are in the deep end now. Additionally, they make sure to ask Ruriko if she's doing alright, just to see her barely sticking her head out of the water. Due to this, Ruriko mentions that they should have brought Narumi's lifesaver along, and Koichi decides to go and grab it real quick. When he asks where it is, Narumi replies that it's tied by the umbrellas. With that being said, Koichi begins heading out of the pool, and just when he is about to pick it up, Koichi remembers that the girls were being hit on earlier and figures that it would be safer if he sticks close to them. As he decides to hurry back to the girls, a girl calls out to him, saying that this might sound random, but she wishes to touch his muscles. Koichi stares at her for a second and makes sure to look around as he can't believe such mommy material is talking to this sad excuse of a man. She further mentions that she is interested in buff guys with baby faces, which makes Koichi wonder if muscles are really that rare. In the end, Koichi tries to refuse and mentions that he has to go, but the girl stays persistent. He then begins to think what he should say for her to leave him alone when unexpectedly, both the girls arrive, asking the other girl if she is Koichi's friend. Ruriko adds that Koichi is with them, asking the mommy to kindly back off. Realizing that Koichi was with his friends, that girl says that it's cute how close they are and walks away after apologizing. After she leaves, Narumi freaks out as she can't believe that girl acted like it was no big deal. Koichi lets them know that she just wanted to touch his muscles, making the girls realize that he was definitely getting hit on. The two of them then look at each other, and after grabbing Koichi by his arms, begin dragging him back to the pool. Sometime later, Golden Week is now over and it's time for the midterm exams. As expected, Narumi bows down in front of Koichi, begging him to help her study. Seeing her bow, that deeply makes him wonder if she is that much of a tough spot, and he questions Narumi if she got a bad mark on the quizzes. Narumi agrees and shows him her disastrous exam result, saying that she accidentally used gal slang without realizing it in the test. Koichi mentions that she can't be that bad at studying, but little does he know that Narumi actually was a high achiever in middle school. The reason she has fallen so far has everything to do with Koichi, as now, Narumi spends all her day researching nail designs, makeup, and other things that she wants Koichi to try on her. Furthermore, she scrolls through social media until late night, which has made her prone to falling asleep in class, ultimately causing her grades to plummet. Narumi mentions that their school is pretty lenient when it comes to clothing and hairstyle, which is why she chose this particular school. However, if she fails midterms, she's going to have to change her hair color back and wear a longer shirt, reminding Koichi that it'll be because she's going to receive extra life guidance. Nonetheless, Koichi lets her know that his own grades aren't that great either, but Narumi replies that they are still better than hers and asks for his help as all her other friends are really busy. Koichi lets out a sigh and ends up agreeing to study with her, which brings tears into Narumi's eyes, and she ends up giving him a tight hug, letting Koichi take the sniff of his life. She then begins reassuring Koichi that she'll pay him back, while he stresses over the fact that there are still students in the class. As expected, the other desperate loners begin cursing Koichi for receiving a hug from the baddie. Simultaneously, Ruriko peeks into their class and questions what the hell are they doing. Following that, they inform her about the study group, and when Narumi mentions that they will study in the library, Ruriko replies that it's completely packed. Moreover, she suggests studying at Narumi's house, to which she agrees and ends up inviting Koichi as well. Ruriko can't believe Narumi can invite him so easily, and that Weeb can agree as it's normal as well. To her surprise, she invites Ruriko as well, and she agrees to come as long as they both don't flirt in front of her. At her house, seeing her blank notebook stresses both Koichi and Ruriko out, and he mentions that they need to meet on weekends as well. A few days later, Saturday arrives and Koichi goes to Narumi's house and rings the doorbell. Soon after, Narumi, still half asleep along with Koichi, opens the door, and when they ask about what Koichi brought along, he calls it his secret weapon. After seeing Narumi's progress, Koichi compliments her for getting most of the questions right, but she is still stressed over the fact that she doesn't have the fundamentals down well enough. Nonetheless, she also cares about the bare minimum as her goal is to pass the class. However, Koichi reminds her that if she messes up, she might need to repeat the year as well. Narumi mentions that she's definitely not failing a year, while Ruriko reassures her that she will remain her friend even if she's held back, asking her to call her senpai from now on. Additionally, she hopes that her and Koichi are in the same class next year, causing Narumi to yell at them for flirting. Following that, the three of them continue to study for a while, and some time later, Narumi gives up and begins complaining about how her body is about to break apart. Koichi, realizing that Narumi is starting to get bored, suggests taking a break and opens the cooler he brought along. While talking about how one needs sugar when using their brain, he takes out a jar filled with multiple fruits, calling it Macedonia, an Italian fruit salad. The girls can't believe how cute it looks and questions if he bought it for them, but hearing that he made it himself causes a chill to run down their spines. Apparently, the recipe appeared in a manga, so he tried following it, and even his little sister complimented how good it tasted. After reassuring them that he tried to be as clean as possible, he hands them over the spoons and lets them know that it has half the calories of the frap Narumi ordered the other day. After taking a bite, both the girls are shocked about how good it tastes and start complimenting Koichi, saying that he can basically do everything. Afterward, Ruriko questions if he's not going to eat, and Koichi replies that he only had enough jars to make 2. However, she doesn't accept this and tries feeding him some of it using her spoon. Additionally, she tells him that it'll be awkward for them if he doesn't eat, causing Koichi to agree to have some. However, just in the nick of time, Narumi yells at them to stop and reminds them that it's basically an indirect kiss. Ruriko replies that they are not in elementary school and that no one cares about that crap. Realizing that no one cares, she gathers courage and tries feeding some of her portion to Koichi as well. When he begins to hesitate, Narumi questions if he doesn't want to eat after me. This gives him no other choice but to agree and ends up taking a bite from her spoon, thanking her afterward. Ruriko notices that both of them are beet red and wonders if Narumi was embarrassed about the indirect kiss. But she quickly dismisses this thought as Narumi is always showing skin from chest to her legs. After they were done eating snacks, they all went back to studying, and with the help of those two, Narumi ended up passing the test, only because she studied like a madman in an attempt to forget the indirect kiss. A few days later, Koichi asks Narumi if she is free this Saturday, to which she agrees, saying that she's totally free. She then begins asking if he wants to give her a reward for not failing the midterm. But all her excitement washes down the drain when Koichi suggests studying at his place. Narumi reminds him that they won't be having any more tests for a while. But Koichi mentions that all she did was made educated guesses, and this time, she'd need to go over the basics again for next time. This results in Narumi making an excuse about being busy this Saturday, but gets told by Koichi that he might not be able to help her later in the term. Having no other choice, she ends up agreeing and asks if it's okay with his family, to which Koichi replies that his parents are traveling, while his sister will be staying at a friend's house. With that being said, he decides to go home, and noticing that he won't be going to the club, Narumi questions about the club he joined, and Koichi replies that he joined the second literature club. Apparently, he was inspired by Narumi's assertiveness and finally decided to join a club. But when he first visited the literature club, the vice club leader told him that they only cover serious work like poetry and novels. Furthermore, anime is the domain of the manga research club, but she doubts they are accepting any new members. She then informs him about a second literature club that is tailored with crazy fan stuff, and only 2 first years have kept it going till now. Hearing about a club run by first years shocks Narumi, and Koichi add that they both are kind of eccentric, but they all are into the same things. Eventually, Koichi walks away, but leaves Narumi curious about the second literature club. Following that, she walks around the school and eventually comes across the second literature club room. After taking a look, she thinks about how it looks like a storage room, and just when she tries to open the door, a loud noise catches her attention. Apparently, it's the weebs who fell onto the